Hey, if you've been watching the Town Car Flip playlist, then you know that this bumper has come a long, long way. And the final stage in restoring this bumper and getting it back to brand new is to restore this chrome. I wound up customizing it and not restoring it, but we'll get to that when we get to it. As for cutting and rubbing the bumper, now that the bumper's completely done, I'm going to save that for the final detail on the whole car, and I think I'm going to cut and rub the entire car, just to get the whole thing looking brand new, now that it's running like brand new. Grab a flathead screwdriver and try to dig up under the glue in the bumper. It's a lot easier to get the glue off the trim than it is to get off the actual bumper, so you want that glue to come up with the trim. Once I got the chrome off the car and started restoring it, I was also restoring the bumper and doing all the body work, all the primer, all the sealer, the base coats, and the clear coat, all of it, while I was working on this chrome. So I would just take a break from the chrome and go work on the bumper or vice versa. So the whole thing together was a very long, slow and tedious process. If you ever done body work, you know you're opening a big old can of worms. And I knew I was opening it, but I didn't know it would take as long as it did. And one of the big holdups was this chrome. And you'll see as the video progresses that was really driving me nuts. There's really no other way to do this than get yourself a flathead screwdriver, and if you have to grind the edge of it to get it sharp, go ahead and do that. It's just, I mean, no glue remover is going to take this off. This is, I don't know where they get this glue, but it's thick and it's on there. And it's soft. It never hardens completely, because these pieces, they're flexible. So in the summer they expand, and in the winter they contract. So the glue has to go with that expansion and contraction, or else it's just going to come off. So it stays soft forever. Just a slow, tedious process, especially on a long piece. I didn't think I was ever going to get done. And unless you're really, really good at removing this, it's not going to come off in one piece. It's going to break off. And you have to start over again and try to get up under there. painter's helper. They're in the middle of this. So the painter's helper preps it for the painter. And the painter says, I'm not going to paint this. Take it to the body guys and tell them they suck. So the poor painter's helper goes back to the body guys and says, my painter will not paint this. And the body guys say, well, tell your painter to go to hell, he's going to have to paint it. So the painter's helper goes back to the painter and says, they told me to tell you to go to hell. So the painter's helper gets yelled at by the painter and the body guys. That's like, and that they don't pay those guys enough. They deal with some shit. No kidding, man. They're in the middle of this. See, the problem is in body work, you get paid not by the hour, but by the job. So if the body shop wants to decide that the body guy's worth $25 an hour, that's what he charges the customer. The body guy's going to take 5 hours to do this. $25 an hour, so the body work's going to be $125, and then he doubles that to make sure he's going to get profit, and then but the body guy still gets $25 an hour, but he doesn't get $25 an hour, he gets $125. So if it takes that body guy, 10 hours for a $125 job, he's making $12.50 an hour. You see how that works? So they rush it, and the next person who gets it is the painter's helper, who preps it, takes everything off, degreases it, cleans it all up, checks it, and then the painter says, no way, I'm not putting my name on this. And that's why the body guy doesn't want to redo it, because he's only getting $125. Now he's got to spend more time doing something that he's already getting paid for. That works. It's a shame. A lot of the chrome that was on here was peeling off, so it's just a matter of carefully peeling the rest off. But a lot of it was fine, especially on the sides. And I took a very sharp razor blade and did my best to get up under there, but still there were pieces that wouldn't come off. So I used a 150 piece of sandpaper, and this gizmo to get off the stuff that wouldn't come off. And then I took 220 around the edges of here because it seems to stick better on the edges. And spent a lot of bit of time doing the edges. And now I'm down to 320 doing both the edges and the base, trying to get it nice and smooth. And then after that it's on to 400 by hand. And it should be ready to go. This is a primer. They did put a great primer on here. And right up underneath of that is the actual soft plastic. So try not to go through too much, or else you're going to have to re-prime it. And then that's just going to add more sanding. I might have to do that, I might not, I don't know, we'll see. This is wax and grease remover, and don't leave this stuff sit on the product for too long. You need to wipe it on and then immediately wipe it off. And this will take off any, skin oil, any fingerprints, any grease, any wax. and pretty much everything else. Because I'm about to prime this and put a real good coat of primer on it, and then we're going to be sanding the primer later. The primer laid so flat and smooth that there was no sense in sanding it, so I just went right into black. And on the chroming system I'm using, it has to have a black base coat, a gloss black base coat on it before you go ahead and put the chrome on. Okay, once the black dries, we're just cutting it all the way back down to 1500. We're starting with 800, then going to 1000, then ending on 1500. And then the objective is to polish it all out, and it should look brand new. That's if I don't break through this black. So you have to put a semi-heavy coat of black on. Right now I'm just focusing on about, I don't know, 6 inches, just that part, to see if I can get the orange peel off without breaking through. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera. There's still a little bit of orange peel on it. Y'all see that? We're just dealing with from here to here, right there in that section. Keep that clean. I'm sanding dirty and all those traps are getting in there. So you might want to get yourself a nice soft towel and just keep it clean. So about half of this is cut down to 1000, and now we're going to wet sand 1500, and then we're going to try to polish it up. That's the spot that I somehow missed, so we went back to 220 and then stuck some filler on there. And then I'll sand that down to 320, put some more filler on, sand it down to 400, and catch this part back up to 800. And I'll be putting another base coat just in this part right here and just kind of working it in. House 1000 dry. When we get to here, we'll probably go 600 back to 800 and then finish up with 1000 when that dries. It's almost dry. And go ahead and repaint it. I'm not going to reprime that. There's no sense in it. Here's why I keep all tag close. Lightly. I'll hang this back up and paint this puppy. Get as much dirt as you can off there. I got it down to 1000 before breaking through in a couple of areas, and now I'm just putting a real thin layer of paint on there, and then I'm going to take that down with 1500 and 2000, and hopefully I don't break through again, and then I'll just polish it up and it should be as black and as shiny as you can imagine. I figured I'd bring this in, out of all the elements. A little crack in here. Hopefully that doesn't get too bad. I don't know. Back to the body shop for this equipment. Just let that sit out here and dry. And then it's another light coat of black, and be real careful on the ends and try sanding it with 1500 again. In the meantime, I can get on to the other one and see if we can take it down with 1500 without breaking through anything. Grease and wax remover. One final light coat of paint. No more buffing, no more cutting, no more rubbing. And the chrome. And see what comes out. I don't know if this is going to work. And I did a lot of research on chroming systems, spray chrome, what chrome is, all that crap. And everybody's saying that this is the best spray chrome. Spastics. But it's expensive, you should know that. And when you get it, you're only ordering 3.5 ounces in a can for 13 bucks each. This is a normal size 12 ounce can of spray paint. This is 3.5, and this camera probably actually makes this look bigger than what it is. It is tiny. I don't know how far it will go. I've never used it. So all this is an experiment. But people rave about this. And one of the keys is you have to have a black base. I've done this over so many times that I'm sick of looking at it. And I thought I had it, and I sanded it and polished it and easily broke through it. And some places look great. But I'm not happy with this paint. It didn't cut and polish the way it's supposed to. And so now I'm taking this whole piece down one last time with 320 grit, and then working my way back up to 2000 grit, and then putting one last coat of black on it, gloss black. This is important if you want that chrome. It has to be laid on black undercoat. I don't even know if it's going to stick. It's all just an experiment. I don't know if this is enough to go to do all this. That long piece of chrome, and this is a town car bumper, is longer than you might think. It's the longest piece of, molding I've ever seen in my life. So I don't know if there's going to be enough. What we're going to do is get this back in black after I sand it. And I'm not going to try to cut and rub. I'm just going to try to spray it as smooth as I can. And go ahead and just do a little piece with the Spastics chrome and see what it looks like. This way, if it's garbage and it comes out bad, if it doesn't stick, whatever, if there's a disaster, I only have to redo this part. And then at that point, I think I'm just going to black out all the chrome on the car. If I can't get a decent chroming system, I'm just going to go black. And that I want to be done with sealer coat. And I'm going to, if that's the case, if this chrome doesn't work, I'll sand it down again and put a sealer coat on. I like the way that sealer coat works. And now I'm just going to spray on clear coat after that. So all the chrome trim will be blacked out on the car, which I think will look hot. And we're going to find out all this as soon as we find out if this is going to work. So it's back to 320. Sand out all obvious imperfections that you can see with your naked eye. And work up to 400, 600, 800, 1,000, and maybe even 1,500 or 2,000. Back in black. Yeah, it's going to be a real drag. I've wasted so much time on this crap. And I'm at the point where it's just going to take a little bit of anger and brute force to get through this. Get her done. If you ever have an issue with your sandpaper binding up, you know what I mean, moving, like this and this, there's an old trick here. Take a piece like about this big or whatever size you want and fold it in thirds like that, and that binding up won't happen. I hate using, reducing myself to rattle can spray paint, but I mean, if you saw the process of going through actual, chroming something with real chrome, it's ridiculous and it's expensive. And now they have this new system where you just pour it on like water, and then you take actual water and pour it off. And you don't have to do anything to it. You just pour it on like water coming out of the hose. And it's just dripping all over the place, and then you take water. And there's YouTube videos on the net on it. And I even looked into, well, how can I do that at the house? And the answer is pretty much you can't. They claim there's, do-it-yourself systems, but they're very, very pricey. At least give the spastics a try. Give it a whirl. I will tell you my honest opinion. I'm not affiliated with it. I don't work for them. And I'm afraid that these YouTube reviewers are actually, making money, making a piece of profit off this stuff. So, the problem with doing that, with being a salesman instead of an actual YouTuber, is if it doesn't work, if they're bullshitting you, if they're lying to you, and then, they're going to give you bad reviews, they're going to download your videos, they're going to be angry, and, in the long run, it doesn't help the company, and it doesn't help the YouTuber. That's the problem with YouTube today. They're not making videos, they're making, advertisements, so they can get, 6 cents off every spastics can they sell. So far it looks like shit. Let's see. So what'll happen if I clear it? It'll look shiny gray. This has been such a long pain in the ass. I'm good with blacking it out if the sealer is good with having a clear over. That's my concern with doing that. I'm glad I just did, that bottom 3 inches because I don't want to sand this down again. Shall I put a sealer? Do I have enough sealer to do this? I think I do. I'll do that one. Yeah, I got plenty of that dark gray sealer. Because see, the problem is, if I seal, if I just black out the chrome on the front bumper, I don't have to do the whole fucking car. It's just not ending. Look like chrome to you? I'm wondering what happens if we cut and rub it. Scotch-Brite, it shouldn't do any damage. It's cutting right through the chrome. Scratching the hell out of it. Yeah, it comes right off with polish. There ain't no polish in this shit. Alright, well, what are the choices? No sense in bitching about it. I guess I'm just gonna black it out, I gotta put something back on. I could just order new mold. I'm gonna go ahead and price it. What a waste of time. Time in then. Getting in here. YouTube should be a place where you can go and trust the content. He made 12 cents. He made 12 cents off running this. I hope it's worth it to you, buddy. The good thing is it sounds right up. At least we didn't do the whole thing. If you want to restore chrome, you're either going to have to pay a lot of money to get it done right, or you're going to have to buy like a whole new piece. Like if you have a bumper, old-fashioned steel bumper that they stopped making in the early 70s, and you want the original bumper, you're just going to have to buy an aftermarket one, or find one somewhere used that was taken care of, and they're going to charge you big bucks for it. Or you're just going to have to go custom with it and black it out. But those are your 3 options. You're not going to find it. Well, you could get it re-chromed professionally. And there are places that can do that. But it's pricey, man. It's expensive. Or you could just go custom. And most people that restore cars want them back to the original shape. But there is a custom market, so if you're one of those custom guys, you just black it out. That's your options. There's no cheap way to do this. This is why I got out of restoring cars back when I was young, because the prices of everything just started skyrocketing. And it was no longer a working man's thing, it was a rich man's thing. It's a shame, but it's just the truth. They asked about a dozen, some of the best painters in the world, actually. If it's okay to use sealer on this and just put clear coat over it. I thought it was an easy question, but it was crickets. Nobody knew. And worse than that, although it's only been a couple of days, they all pretty much ignored me. So it was only what's his name, Gabriel Marino, is that right? Yeah, M-E-R-I-N-O. Who took the time to say, I don't see why not, but I'm not a chemist, so I don't know if the clear coat is going to adhere to the sealer. So apparently this is not a common issue, and I'm the only freak in the world who ever even thought of it. But I mean, it's not so uncommon to black out chrome on cars when you're restoring. So shout out to Gabriel. Thank you. So I told him I'm just going to do it on this one piece and let him know what's going to happen. But this, you know, I don't have 4 years to wait and see if the weather destroys it or if it starts peeling 3 years down the road. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have to somehow test the clear coat and kind of weatherize it and see if it's just going to peel off or what's going to happen. So I'm going for it. That's what I'm doing with this one piece, and we'll stick it back on the car and show you how it looks, and that's going to lead into blacking out all the chrome on the, well, not all the chrome, just the chrome trim. I love those chrome mirrors and stuff. So, isn't that? That's what we're doing now. We're taking it down 400 grit, and we're going to clean it up, and we're going to seal it. And then we're going to spray clear coat over the sealer. After it's 400, I'll use this Scotch Brite. So if you saw my my bumper video, it's the same process. Plus dark gray silver. It always thickens up at the bottom there, so spend a little time stirring this up gently. You don't want to start air bubbles. And what we got? Just a couple ounces. Should be fun. 411. Oh, can't see without my glasses. Harden. And reduce. Sealer hardener. Make sure it's for sealer. Smells like a laboratory. Should be plenty. Mix it up, buttercup. Gently. Now air bubbles. And then we'll filter it as we're pouring it into the gun, which is down here in this box, and I'll show you that in a second. There's an old trick, painter trick. I'm gonna put these lids on, so when I was pouring it, I got it all along the side, so if you hammer that down, paint's gonna splatter everywhere. Which, you know, personal preference. Just get an old rag and lay it over it. And hammer it down. Stir for about 2 minutes. wind started picking up, as you might have saw when I was spraying it. I took it in and put it back there. That third coat was really, really wet. But we don't have much chance of running it because of the way I laid it down. I just hope there's not a bunch of dust in it from that gust of wind. It's not a good day to be painting outside. And I was in like a hallway type thing. To block, you know, everything. Found its way in there. I'm gonna go ahead and go do the other one. By the end of the day, I will clear coat that. I don't know. Yeah, I might as well do both of them. Alright, they're put back there to dry and stay out of all the floating debris out there. Now I have to clean this gun. And I don't know if I'm spraying the clear with the same gun. I don't really like this little gun. Nothing against, you know, little guns. There's a place for this stuff right here, and it's called a trash can. Now, you know, I'll find some kind of use for it. Maybe I'll paint my Sharpie fake gray. Two is it. I don't know if you can see this ultra long piece of trimming. I haven't even really started prepping this damn thing, and it goes on forever. That's like 260,000 feet. It wraps around the whole front bumper. So, I wish I could have done all three, you know, because I have to move forward here or else I'm going to lose my mind. But, you know, I'll clean out that gun and decide when I'm spraying the clear. It has to be within 72 hours. And let me show you what clear is, because there's an issue. Is it gonna bend with the bumper? Is it gonna, you're gonna be able to mold it? Is it gonna crack? Clear is plastic. That's what it is. It's a liquid plastic. Yeah, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. And it's a flexible piece. Well, I've been a little too far. It's not made to be bent in half. But it is flexible, so I'm not worried about it cracking when I go ahead and mold that, you know, piece of molding around the bumper. That's all it is. Piece of plastic. So, I'm more worried about the sealer coat cracking than, you know, the clear. Here's what we have. One's still tacky and wet, and I believe the other one's dry. This is the first one we did, and you can see how smooth it lays, I think. And there's not a speck of orange peel on there. There probably will be after we clear it, but, you know, if we want to cut and rub it, we can do that too. I like the color of this. I really do. It's not black, but it's not gray. You know, it's just, it has like a tint to it, and a little bit of a shine. And that'll be a lot shinier when we put the clear on. So I'm just glad that I'm progressing on this. Again, I want to thank Gabriel Marino. You guys who are watching this, you should go check out his channel. He's a top shelf painter. He's had a very interesting life and worked his way up to a high paying job. And he's in Canada. I don't know exactly what city. But he's been on the Dave Ramsey show because he got himself out of debt. He got married. He has videos of that. But, you know, I'm sure he's just a nice guy who takes his time and answers his subscribers' questions. Using the red gun, my favorite gun. It's a 1.7 tip. 4-to-1. So on the cup, find 4-to-1-to-1, and just ignore the third one. 4-to-1. Y'all gonna be able to see this. That's the issue. 4-to-1-to-1. Ignore this column. And it all depends on how much you want to mix here. I think I'm going 3 to 3. This stuff is so sticky. It's like fly paper. And the clear hardener. What am I using here? MH277. people shake this up and then they get all kinds of fish eyes and stuff in their final job and they regret doing it. Big mistake. Big amateur mistake. Don't shake this up. It really brings out the dark gray. I don't know if it's gonna adhere. It just looks like it's laying on there, and I put it on a little too thick and had the air pressure up a little too high. I should have kept testing the gun. So I'm a little bit worried about it, but time will tell here. That was the first coat. With clear, they should go on heavy, both coats. I'm just putting 2 heavy coats on. I just hope that this clear adheres and that this is the last chapter of this, what was chrome trim. I just want to shut this chapter and move on. I have so much other stuff to do. So good. I mean, what, you know, you want me to hang on to all these video clips and come back in 4 years and finish it up? That's not gonna happen. don't know what to tell you. It adhered, I can tell you that. I mean, the clear coat is dry. It's stuck on the molding. check it out. Now I don't have to clean out that gun. I can just throw it in the trash. I wasn't happy with the way it sprayed. And I couldn't dial it in. I tried everything. Finally I I just went for it. And what you can't see on camera is I'm doing 2 jobs at once. So, with the sealer. And with the same gun. So I had to set the gun up differently for each job. And by the time I got to that final coat on that, it had plenty of sealer in it. I remixed it, put some more in there. I don't know if it's clogged up or what. I cleaned it out real good, but it just sprays like shit. There's not enough paint coming out of there. It needs to go on wet. And I couldn't get it wet enough, no matter what I did. So it might be a little inconsistent. I don't know. Hopefully it lays down great. And I'll show you in about 15 minutes. If it's flat, if we have an issue, you know, what's going on. I won't know right now until this guy dries up and flattens out. There's always something, man. That's I'm never gonna need that gun. I'm never gonna use it again. I need a lot of paint coming out because I move a little bit faster than most painters, and I just want it wet, you know. Just wasn't wet enough. I mean, this would be great for like really minor touch-up work, like if you're, you know, repainting a vase or something, you know, it's almost like an airbrush. If you look at this at the right angle, you can see the sand pile and the wet spots and just a really uneven issue here. You can see wet spot right there. And it's not actually wet, it just looks wet. So if somebody sees this in the right light, it's going to look like shit. So that's going to be buffed out, and there's going to be another coat of sealer put on that that's totally sprayed with a different gun, much better gun. It's the next day, and I'm really not happy with how it came out. It looks like a rattle can job, and that simply is not good enough. So we're taking it down with the maroon Scotch Brite. We're just kind of smoothing it down and getting it to adhere to one more coat of sealer sprayed with a real spray gun, not a little toy. So that should be good, and that should be that. We'll see how it comes out. I'm in the process of buffing it right now. Buffing it, scuffing it. Scuffing, not buffing. It's best to do this with gloves on because you don't want to touch it. Because there's a lot of oil in our skin. And when you have something ultra clean and you touch it, it leaves an oily residue on whatever you're touching, and the paint will adhere to it, but not as good as the rest. So yeah, wear some gloves. I love that gun. That's exactly what you're looking for. Nice and wet. Full coverage, even coverage, everything looks great. I'm going to put one more light coat, almost a mist coat, but a little bit heavier on it, and they call it a flash coat, and that's going to be the end. Well, I have to clear coat it, but I'm going to give it at least a few hours before I put the clear on. I'm waiting for a helper to get me some mixing cups, and we can go from there. And with the clear, I'm working on another job for another video. So yeah, lots getting done now. And then when all these dry, you want to see the old ones? I mean, not the old ones, the ones that are done. Still looks wet as hell. And hope you can see that in the camera. These came out really, really, really nice. The object is to get this one looking like that one. And then we can glue these puppies on. And from that point I can decide if I want to cut and rub this whole bumper, but that will be a whole nother video. Finally have got to the point where we are progressing. Nailed it, man. We nailed it. Looks great. Yeah, if nothing goes wrong with the clear, we are done with the bumper trim. How are we doing the rest of the car? Oh, God help me. Well, now I won't make all these damn mistakes, so if I do the rest of the car, which I probably will, knowing me, we'll go right to the action and get it done and do it right. And it won't even be 1/10 of the time it took to do all this. I spent the last hour and a half, I think, cleaning out spray guns. Got some new fancy dancy red, white, and blue cups. Yeah, these rock. A little pricey at $1 a piece, and you get them for free at the auto paint store when you spend $1,200. Ain't nothing free, boys. So I'm ready to go with the clear. This trim came out fantastical. Fantastical. Clear mix is 4 to 1 to 1. No. Clear mix is 4 to 1. 4 parts clear and 1 part hardener. There is no reducer in clear. Here's how sealer dries. Yeah. And if that's not going to clog up your gun, nothing's going to. Yeah, don't let this crap dry in your gun.